What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the garage, back to the channel. We're officially 32 days out from ToyotaFest, and we got some maintenance to do on the daily 04 Matrix XRS. Today we're going to be changing alternator, remanufactured Denso unit, swapping our belt tensioner, changing out this pulley, and while we're under there we're going to do some spark plugs and air filter. We'll also be changing my front crank seal since that decided to leak on me, but stick around and show you how to get this done. Alright guys, first step with working anything electrical when you're going to be messing under the hood, we're definitely going to want to disconnect our battery terminals before we get going. We're going to unplug all of our connectors in this area to make room to take this alternator out. It's going to involve removing these vacuum hoses that go to our secondary smog pump, remove the connector, and we're going to be moving this harness out of the way. We need to disconnect these 10mm ground strap to the alternator, the connector to the alternator, and we may also have to remove the connector that goes to our air conditioning pump, and the connector underneath the intake manifold. That's going to give us enough room to loosen the bolts and get this alternator out of here. I think I found the source of why my alternator is failing. I give this a spin and I can hear it when I'm driving. It feels like a bearing's going out, but take a listen to this right here. Hoping you could hear that, but every time you do any work down here, you definitely want to spin all of your pulleys, your water pump, your tensioner. Make sure they're all spinning smooth. But I can hear this one. This bearing's definitely, starting to go out. Could be the pulley, could be the alternator. Either way, we're just gonna go ahead and replace it. Once you have all your connectors and your harness all out of the way, there's two bolts holding this alternator on. There's a 12mm bolt right here, and there's a 14mm bolt. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see. You gotta look around. Trust me, it's down there. There's a 12mm bolt and a 14mm bolt that faces the passenger side of the car. What I used was just a 14mm box wrencher. You can't use a socket to get down there because you're kind of limited on space. But once you break it loose, you'll be able to back it out with your hands. You got it out. You hear that? That is my problem. Now what's going to help you get this alternator back in with the least amount of struggle is you want to make sure you clean these mounting points for your new alternator, and I like to put a little bit of lubricant on the ears of our new alternator to try to get it to slide in easier. Alright, so when you're removing your belt tensioner, a couple things need to happen to gain clearance to remove it. You're going to need to remove your bolts to your passenger side motor mount. There's a total of 3. There's one here, there's one back there, and then there's one up against the unibody. Take those 3 out, and that is going to allow us to lift the motor up slightly to be able to reach that belt tensioner. And then on that belt tensioner itself, down here there's a 17mm bolt holding it on, and a 12mm bolt holding it attached closer to the valve cover. You're going to need to remove those 2 bolts to get this guy out of here. Alright, so we got our old belt tensioner out, and you need to lift the motor slightly with from the oil pan. Make sure you're using a book or something soft so you don't dent your oil pan, and you need to lift the motor just enough to get this bolt out right here. This is the main issue, this bolt, and this is the bolt that is holding on the belt tensioner, like holding on this belt tensioner right here. If you don't lift the motor up, you're not going to have enough space to pull this out. Once you take that out, it's just a matter of fishing it out, not too hard. So we're going to reinstall our new idler pulley or tensioner pulley. reinstall the tensioner, and we'll be able to lower the motor back down, and then we'll be moving on to addressing the crank seal. All right, so we got our new tensioner cleaned up. This is that pain in the ass 17mm bolt that goes here. The whole reason why you need to lift your motor up just to get it out. And this is your 12mm that holds on this bolt right here. This is what we pulled off. Goes right here. This is what holds on your pulley. Again, can't stress enough that you definitely don't want to strip this bolt out. Correct size is an E20 socket. Holds this on. You'll take them. Zap this on and off. You'll never strip it. Works every time. Fresh pulley. This pulley is made by a company called Euro, and just in my experience, it's a Japanese bearing. You definitely want to stick with that. I've used like cheaper bearings in the past, and they definitely failed on me. So I just like to add a little bit of lubricant where this bearing is gonna go, just like that. That's good. I'm gonna reassemble this portion. E20 bolt on here, and just gonna tighten this down. Matter of fact, I need to look up this torque spec. So once you have your idler pulley on, I cannot find the torque spec for this bolt in particular. It's not in the service manual. I do know in the past I messed up this bearing by taking the impact and really like ugga-dugga-ing that down. So you gotta kind of just trust yourself and not, you want it tight. But obviously if you go too hard, you're gonna press and compromise this bearing, which is gonna go out later. You're gonna have to do this whole job again. So trust yourself, don't He-Man that down, don't use the impact, and this is ready to reinstall. Oh, one more thing. Depending on your tensioner, depending on the wear that's on it, there's a spacer here that can sometimes fall out. Make sure you do not lose this spacer. This spacer can pop off. You can't find it anywhere. Last time I was working on this literally fell out, and I spent 2 hours feeling around my steering rack area just to find it. So make sure you don't lose that spacer. This one doesn't seem to have that problem, so feel good about this one. Alright, so here's where we are so far. We got our new belt tensioner put in. Now I'm about to try to change this front crank seal. Spin this around for you. So there's our crank seal. I'm gonna attempt to change this without having to lower my motor, but if I have to, I rented a Harmonic balancer pulley just to take this off in case I can't take it off by hand. If I need the space, I'm gonna disconnect my front motor mount and drop the motor a little bit just for a little bit of clearance to get the tool and get what I need. But let's see if I can get this thing out. Alright, so I was able to get my Harmonic balancer off. Let's see the leaking here from this failed seal. I didn't have to lower my motor for clearance to fit the Harmonic balancer puller kit. It's like $25 to rent this. It fits on, essentially fits on just like this. These bolts are going to screw into your Harmonic balancer like this. And you literally just tighten that center rod and it pulls it right off. There's enough space. So let's get this seal off and prep our area to get the new seal in. Alright, we got our crank seal off. You just got to be really careful prying this out. You could use a seal puller. I just used 8mm wrench and a microfiber towel to carefully pry it out. I've just got through cleaning the mating surface. Take your new seal, and we're going to use some grease or clean motor oil to lube it up before we press this in. All right, kind of like a little more than halfway through this. I'm not filming as much as I wanted to, mainly because I just wanted to get this done, honestly. But so far we got the alternator in, got the crank seal in, harmonic balancers torqued to spec. Pretty much all I have left is reroute the serpentine belt and hook up all our connectors and put the wheel back on. So we'll go eat some lunch and then come back, finish this up, and hopefully nothing else breaks. Hopefully nothing breaks in general. Alright, just got everything put back together. Everything seems to be working all right. I don't see any leaks coming from the crank seal. No battery light on. Hopefully this car's not going to give me any more problems. But you never know. 18-year-old Toyota, anything can happen. Till then, keep driving those slow cars fast. Pass on the left.